can do the obligatory.
I'm too full to do the dance.
Oh, you can't do the dance. Oh no,
Not
Lucy.
do the dance. Do the dance.
Just a really
like I'm
slow...
underwater.
Yeah. You're like Sonic as he's trying
Sonic
to
dying,
run.
yeah. He's drowning.
Brilliant. Brilliant. An excellent way to kick us in for this week. Welcome, friends, to Tanked Up, the podcast about video games and beer. It's episode 270. I'm one of your hosts, Ben, here with Drowning Sonic Lucy.
I don't even know what to say.
And Gotta Go Fast Aadil. We started with so much enthusiasm and speed. It's unheard of in podcast circles. Let's open up some beers. Let's talk about some video games. Lucy, welcome back.
Hello.
To start, you must have weeks and weeks and weeks of games, which means you've played about 4,006 games.
No, actually, I looked at how many games I've completed in June. It was just the one that I'm going to talk about today. So.
Fair.
Yeah, I just can't be bothered at the moment with games. I think E3 might have just destroyed me, but all that content.
That's it.
But no, yeah.
Just
much stick up a game.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. We'll start off with you. I saw a beer in hand. What are you going to drink today?
We were talking a few weeks ago. I didn't see much of Track recently. When I went to the bottle shop today, there's quite a few of them. Picked up a couple. This one is called None But the Rain.
Aha.
It isn't the one that Ben had, hopefully. Was going to check. Didn't.
That's fine.
I'll say how well prepared we are today.
I drank Broken Cloud.
Yeah. Well, similar to do with the weather, but this is called None But the Rain. It's an IPA, it's got Citra, Eclipse, and Galaxy hops in it, and it's 6.5%. Contains barley oat wheats.
Nice.
That's it.
Yeah.
Oh.
Excellent. I do have another track in the fridge, but I don't know whether it's that one or not. I was like, yeah, that was another track, cool. Pick that one up. Yeah. Brilliant.
There's no way to tell.
No, absolutely not.
Schrodinger's beer.
Yeah. Aadil, what are you starting with tonight?
I am starting with the Daily Hazy APA. It is a 4.8% APA from Funky Fluid.
Oh, nice.
And one of the beer features that we pay a special attention to is drinkability. Hazy APA perfectly fits this idea. Light, refreshing, strong, fruity, no pressure. It's got barley, wheat, oat flakes, and the hops are Vic Secret, Lemon Drop, Mosaic, Citra, Amarillo, Styrian Cardinal, and the yeast is London Fog.
Nice. Cool.
Yeah, so...
Where's Funky Fluid from?
That's a good question.
It sounds like
they're European.
Problem that should be seen to.
I produced for... I can't read that language.
I could Google it. I'm just being lazy.
Where's Malt Garden from? They do collaborations with Malt Garden. Reasonable amount.
Oh, yeah, they're Polish. They're from Warsaw.
Warsaw, yeah.
Nice. Cool.
I was going to say it because it looked like Polish, but I was like, oh, I don't want to be that guy who's just like, it looks like Polish to me.
Well, that's fine. Yeah. It's always good.
More of an educated guess than most would give. Like how the Yanks think anyone with an accent that isn't American is English.
Just everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah. Fair.
Oh, so you're from England? No, the opposite end of the world.
Yeah.
Australia.
I'm going to finish me gin quick.
How's your gin?
Very nice.
Yeah. All right.
Which gin is it?
Bombay Sapphire.
Oh, classic. So what I've got in my cupboard.
Nice. Yeah,
it's a good cupboard gin. Actually, it's a better freezer gin, but
Ooh.
always freeze your white spirits, folks.
Take that on board.
Yeah, it's a good idea. So I'm going to have for the beer this evening. I'm going to drink a beer from Staggeringly Good, who I haven't had for a long time. But the can instantly drew me to it. It's a T-Rex in Tron garb, and it's called Little Arms, Big Ambitions. Labber. It's an IPA. It's 5.5%. This says Little Arms, Big Ambitions. They said it couldn't be done. That his arms were just too small. But he knew different. He kept dreaming of a world he thought he could never reach. That hoppy frontier. And then he found a way into the beer. There we go. A little bit of Tron blurb for you as well. It doesn't give me any of the hops. No, it does. There's even more flavour text. At Staggeringly Good Brewery, we have a passion for quality beer. This juicy, easy drinking IPA was dry hopped at 18 grams per litre with Mosaic and Citra hops to give a full flavoured beer with low bitterness. So that's it. There are our beers. Lucy, we'll come back to you to let us know how it tastes, what you think about it, what's going on.
I haven't had much of it yet. Because I had 2 pints of Verdant earlier.
Nice.
They were very fulfilling. So smells quite strong, you know.
Okay.
Like the alcohol.
Sweet.
Yeah. Quite sweet, tropical. Very soft. Tastes like a trap beer.
Nice.
So for anyone who doesn't know, should elaborate? It's very, very, very piney, very fruity. It's not a whole lot going on. It's a very quaffable, nice, enjoyable beer, but not there's much to say, to be honest.
Okay.
It's not a bad thing. It's very nice, but it's not doing anything different. Like even the oats. I guess you're getting a little bit of body, but if you know, I can't tell that there's oats in it. It's not quite creamy or as viscous as I'd expect if something has oats in it. But as I say, it's got a nice medium body, quite light. In terms of like the fresh flavors, you know, just a lot of fruitiness, bit of mango, maybe a little bit of I'm not going to say grapefruit. Maybe a bit of orange, maybe a bit of pineapple, but yeah, it's a solid beer. There's just not a lot to say about it, to be honest.
No, that's fair. That's absolutely fair.
Yeah.
You mentioned it had London Fog yeast in it.
Did
was
I?
that your beer? Or was
No,
that
that's
Adam's
mine.
Beer? That's
Oh, yeah.
your beer.
Mine.
Okay. I was going to say something that
This has Citra, Eclipse, and Galaxy, so
Right.
yeah, you know, all your very tropical, fruity kind of hops to it.
Nice.
I'm not sure if I know much about Eclipse, to be honest.
Yeah, it's one we don't
But
come
yeah,
across
it's-
often.
Yeah, it's usually covered up by all the other hops.
Yeah, so it's not standing out. It's just a very nice tropical. That took me a while. Or Ben laughing. It's funny. But yeah, it is exactly that. It's like It's not standing out from anything that I've noticed about the Citra or Galaxy. It's probably just complementing them.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a really nice beer. It's 6.5%. I think I'm starting to feel a bit of that alcohol, maybe that I was smelling on the taste as well. A bit of a light, very light burn. But yeah, it's nice. It's really good. I'm just gonna shut up and enjoy it.
Yeah, that's fair. Good.
Nice.
Good. Nice. Aadil, we'll come back to you with your beer with London Fog yeast in it. The thing I was going to say is I can't remember which brewery it is, whether it's Verdant or Cloudwater or someone, but there was sort of like this. It was one of the only breweries that was using London Fog yeast, at least that was telling you on their cans. Like a year or even 2 years ago or something like that, and then it seemed to be kind of almost everywhere. And now, again, it seems to have disappeared again. People are using other yeasts and stuff, but...
Yeah, it's not one I usually come across.
Anyway, Aadil.
Yeah, me neither. As you can see, it is hazy. It's quite pale yellow as well. Very
It's like
minimal head on the
pineapple
pour.
juice.
Yeah, kind of. The nose is a little sweet, and there's a bittery pininess to it, almost like bergamot. But I don't know if that's because I'm used to the London Fog being an Earl Grey tea with steamed milk in it, and so that might just be me triggering me associating London Fog and bergamot. But it definitely has a bit of that herbal, rooty smell. Ooh, so we're getting light tropical, a lot of citrus. And I don't remember how much percent this is. I think it was 4.8. Yeah, you get a nice sweetness off of it. This lingering bitterness is really doing things for me. I wonder how long it'll last and whether I'll acclimatize, because I don't kind of want to. I like that it's not super bitter forward, but it's the only thing that lasts after about 10 seconds. Yeah, like I said, it starts a bit sweet, citrus sweet. And then the mouthfeel is quite wet as well, and which helps combat the very bitter finish, because like, oh, this is bitter, but your mouth is still quite wet, so you're not like feeling parched. Once you can sort of disassociate those two, you can sort of enjoy the bitterness without feeling like, oh, I'm mouth-watering, I need to take a sip, because the bitter feels like it should be drying you out, but actually it's quite a wet beer.
Okay.
Yeah. It's hard to describe this bitterness. Like I said, it's a bit piney. There's something else going on. I don't think it's bergamot-y. I think that's just in the nose. But there's depth to this bitter that I can't quite place. But if you like, if you like, if you miss sort of the bitter back end of IPAs, of yesteryear, this is going to it's a step down. It's not super in your face, but it does have that lasting bitter, piney finish, while being very like pleasant up front. Not too sweet. Clearly a beer. That pininess or that bitterness is there in the beginning. It's just at this low level, and so the early parts of the beer sort of work well with it, and then they fade away, and you're just like, yes, this is a lovely aftertaste. This finishes like a strong summer beer. Nice. Yeah, I'm really enjoying this. I'll try and figure out how to better describe the finish, hopefully. Otherwise, bitter.
Bitter.
That's fair. Yeah, absolutely. Good. So, staggeringly good. Little arms, big ambitions. I smell it as soon as I cracked the tin, but in the glass, that smell seems to have lessened very slightly. We're getting a little bit of fruit, but also something else. Beer.
Wee.
It's a little bit more orange than both of your beers, actually, I think. But again, a hazy, solid sort of colour. Nice pour with a pretty thick sort of head, which is dissipated quite a lot. But mouth feels really nice. It's not too thick. It's not too sort of watery. It's very, very kind of right smack in the middle. Very easy to go back, but just with a very slight sort of, not even viscosity, almost like an oiliness to it. Flavour-wise, I'm getting that flavour that I couldn't describe in the nose, in the taste as well. It is definitely sort of fully there. It's 3 big swigs to be able to describe what I'm trying to say. Whatever it is, it's kind of like this, kind of almost not quite kind of like soapy coriandery, but it's edging on that sort of like slightly herbal kind of side. But again, a very bitter beer, and that's kind of clouding a lot of the other sort of stuff. There's a little bit of maybe lemon in there, a little bit of citrus, some other kind of sweet fruit in there as well, but I can't quite pick it out because this sort of more herbally bitter, kind of almost like smoky kind of flavour to it is just clouding the rest of it. I'm picking up more of that kind of lemon because it kind of cuts through everything, and that's this sort of lingering taste that I'm getting. Definitely kind of that lemon. And it kind of, on another day, after a few beers, if they'd have dialed up something in this a little bit, you might think that this is and has a kind of a smell or a feel about it of like lemon flavoured, like washing up liquid. It's not at all, but I can absolutely see that something in this changes, and it just has that kind of not quite soapy kind of flavour. It's all kind of lemon cutting through in the sort of in the fruit. I can see how this doesn't quite get to that no one wants to drink, lemony washing up liquid, but it's pulled it right back. I don't know how else to describe it. It kind of this smokiness in there is just throwing me off completely.
Is it like a Schwartz beer or something, like or a Rausch beer? Like what's going on there?
I don't know. Maybe I don't know whether the gin and lemonade is having a little bit of an effect, but I don't think
the gin and what?
would.
Sorry,
lemonade. I mean, no, this is definitely lemony. That's definitely not the lemonade. But I mean, that won't have much of an effect on this. But hard to put my finger on exactly what it is. I think they said it was Citra and Mosaic in here. Yeah, Mosaic and Citra. But it's not massively kind of fruity. It's just very kind of level and easy. It's making my tongue tingle a little bit as well. But that's kind of the best way to describe it, I think. A bit smoky, very citrusy, very piney, bitter. And that's kind of it.
A lot going on in that. Like
There's
the opposite of mine. It's like not a lot going on.
There's a lot going on, but still only to get like a few flavours pulled out of there. Because it's a bit of a confusing kind of flavour to pull apart, really. But it's nice. I'm going to pour the rest of the can into my glass right now and enjoy it whilst we all chat about whatever it is we've come to chat about this week and bring to you, dear listener. Who would like to kick us off and discuss whatever it is they want to?
I don't have a lot to say because my stream failed yesterday and I was fed up. So why don't I just start with a nice short one?
Sure, yeah.
So we were provided a code. It was going to be for first looks. It was called Mundaun. Mundaun. It's made by Hidden Fields, which is a one-person studio.
That's one person.
Yeah, and it's a survival horror game. Mundaun is a lovingly hand-penciled horror tale set in a dark, secluded valley of the Alps. Explore various areas full of secrets to discover, survive hostile encounters, drive vehicles, fill your inventory, and solve a variety of handcrafted puzzles. None of my tech issues were related to the game. It just meant I couldn't stream the game, and, when that kind of thing sort of happens, you aren't really in the mood to continue playing the game. Or at least I'm not. But I did, so I only played about half hour of it, and it was mostly preamble, like, sort of didn't get to experience too much of the survival horror part. Like, you get on the bus and there's a lot of dialogue. It's, I guess, in Swiss on the overhead narration, but it's the things you read are all in English.
Like that one language, like 20 people still talk now.
It might be that because it didn't sound like any. Like, it didn't sound familiar. Yeah, or Swiss German. Yeah. But what's amazing is it's literally hand drawn. All of the assets are hand penciled, and you can see that, and it makes for a very, and like it's just like pencil on slightly brown paper, hand drawn. Like it's not like colored pencils. It's like just monochrome, but with some shadowing, and like on the bus ride up to where you're going. I noticed that the glass was causing some diffraction. I think was really helped sell the world, even though the world was obviously drawn. I thought that was a really cool touch of like looking out the window and seeing the fence as you're driving by sort of ripple, while everything else in the bus was staying the same. It's really beautiful. It's hard to describe. Really, just like do a quick search, you'll find it. Mundaun. I think the stills make it just look kind of like a drawn picture, because it's low res enough that it's pretty seamless. When you start seeing those things move, it becomes very odd in the sense of it's like familiar but not, because you're not used to hand drawn. You're used to that style or whatever. I've seen that in other places, and then it's like animated but still hand drawn. It's hard to describe. It just was very odd. Like when a goat walked up to me, spent a while petting the goat. I'm sad that the internet didn't get to enjoy that. And it like stuck out its tongue, and it felt very much like a video game, but also felt like I was looking at a drawing of a goat sticking its tongue out. So I think that like they clearly put a lot of effort into that art design to make sure it was pretty seamless, despite being quite on a non-standard artistic choice. And like I'm sure things can go really weird. Like I said, I don't have a lot to say. I'm going to play it more. I'm not sure if I'll try streaming it again for first looks, or just play it some other time to get through it. But like your grandfather's barn burned down, and he was inside it, and you were trying to investigate. You're reading a letter from father or someone or other, and he's saying, there's nothing we can do. There's no point in coming up. It's all settled. Don't bother. And then you are clearly on your way to bother. But the first thing that happens after you're off the bus is, you've got this.
He puts his finger in your face. He's like, how dare you come here?
No, what's weirder is there's like an easel. So like you see this burnt building, and then there's a rocky outcropping sort of upslope a bit to it, because we're in a mountain. And there's just an easel facing the other direction. And you're like, someone painting a picture of my grandfather's burnt down barn? And then you walk to the front, and it's a drawing so it's a pencil drawing of a painting on the easel, right? Like I'm trying to evoke what it looks like. But if you take a step closer, the drawing opens up like a crumpled piece of paper. And then there's more drawing of the burnt building. And as you get closer, it fills more of the screen, such that you eventually, if you take that last step, the whole screen is now a picture of the burning building, and you are on the night of the fire.
Oh, wow. Okay. Nice.
And you're now you're standing in front of the burning building, and you look behind you, and there's the easel, but now there's the man who was painting. Because you sort of used it as a weird portal. But all of this was done via this hand-drawn aesthetic on like a crumpled up paper sort of unfurling. It was a really cool aesthetic and tied to gameplay move. It made perfect sense that I was in front of the easel, because I sort of walked through the painting. But also, as I got closer to the painting, it was taking more of the scene. So actually, there was no moment of transition, except that the game sort of clued me in that like I was now there, right? But it wasn't like a whoosh or anything else. It was just like, now all I see is this painting. I step forward, and I feel myself actually moving in the painting space instead of getting closer to the drawing. And it got that depth and that transition really well, so it felt seamless. And that was like, ooh, I'm looking forward to this. And then I glanced over, and it was like, bitrate. Meow. It's like, oh, I guess Twitch is angry. But yeah, so like it's X dollars. How much is this? It's $12.39 on Steam. And I'm just super interested in, I don't know how long it is or anything, but like just based on that, I mean, I obviously went a bit further than that. and and there's like, you see a mysterious character, and they're like right up. It's like a close up of them bending over you as if you had fallen over. But again, this is all hand drawn, so it's just like shadows, as if you were like in a dark place, and then a face that's primarily white, or the non-colored in color, talking sort of quickly, but not at the language but just like looking evil and kind of demented and up close. And like there's a lot of interesting uses of shading there. And that made perfect sense. And you're like, is this a demon? Or I don't know. Like because of the art style, it's like can get away with an ambiguity of like, am I just dazed?
Yeah.
Because none of it is like realism, right? There's nothing close to hyperrealism. So you're not quite sure what the shading and the pencil drawings are trying to convey. Clearly something big is happening, and whether it's like psychological or magical or mystical, who knows? And so
it seems like they could like really mess with you using that art style to add to that psychological horror aspect. It's cool.
Yeah, so
like, tricks and...
that's why I know I want to go back to it, because it didn't really get a good fair shake. Like I said, just based on a few of those types of moments, I was just like, I'm kind of sold on playing this. And then I was sad I had to stop. And so at some point I'll start again. But I just wanted to mention it because how these things go. Sometimes I might not get back to it for a while, and I think it's worth floating. It's also 20% off currently on the Steam store. So if that...
It's been out for a while, hasn't it? So I heard good things about it.
Yeah,
before.
A little bit. Yeah.
Yeah, it came out in March.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The language is Romansh. Which is like close to like only like 100,000 speakers. Like
it makes a lot more sense.
All of them are native, or that's their main language. So I think it's only like 2,000 people like speak it regularly.
It's one of those things that I will always give extra points to a game to. That all of the spoken dialogue is in the language of wherever the game has been set. Absolutely.
Yeah.
It just pulls you into that setting so much more. And I'm always a person with foreign films or anime or whatever who will keep
subs over dubs.
Always. And that's not to take away from voice work of people who do dub kind of work into English a lot of the time, but it definitely kind of pulls you in. What really interests me about this game is how technically they've been able to achieve, or the developers, you said it was a sole developer as well, how they've been able to achieve this hand-drawn aesthetic. Is it just been painstaking work to get assets in and then put that into sort of whatever engine they're using and extrapolating in whatever way that those kinds of things work? It seems, when I've seen sort of screens of this, it just looks nuts. It looks like something that would have taken 20 years to craft, with the amount of drawing that needs to be done.
I mean, some of it is like, at least the only place where I really noticed this was on the bus. The seats had a repeating texture, which makes sense because they used like basically it's all one color, and then sort of slightly slanted lines in a cross shape to be like the pillowing that's on some seats. And it worked really well, but it was very obvious. That was the only time where it was like, because it's just repeated left and right on a grid, and like several of them. That was the only time where I'm like, aha, that I can recognize as just a regular, like, that's just texturing. But it's all just a flat plane that you wrap around the model the right way. But again, there's so many shortcuts you could do in modern development with Photoshop and whatnot, and copying and pasting and cloning, and like, I don't like some parts you could probably get away with the hand draw, but I think most of it just, like you said, it seems like at the very least you are like, okay, this is a post of wood, so I'll just draw the wood pattern on whatever, scan it, and then wrap that around a cylinder. But like, I'm still drawing the whole wood pattern. I don't know how you get away with that style without that. And I'm sure there's some cloning and photoshopping you could do, but it does seem like you can't get away with nearly as much
Sure.
with that aesthetic.
Yeah.
Because you line breaks and continuity when it's all has to look like pencil strokes just seems like way harder to do when it versus, you know, like fill red and then you add a luminescent filter or whatever on it, and like I don't know, and yeah, it looks nuts. And like at first I was like, this is really cool, but like if this could just be a gimmick and like that's just a really cool artistic thing, then I'd be happy to walk around the world. But like I said, that moment with the easel, I was like, and like part of that acceptance was it really felt like an uncrumpled paper, and I'm in this hand-drawn world, and so that makes sense as a sort of portal-y thing. It's not just that it was really cool looking; it like matches the style in a very specific way. And that was like the moment when I'm like, oh, I want to see, even if I'm like totally not into the plot, I kind of just want to see more of this game artistically.
Yeah,
And it's not like the plot was not good. I'm just saying like that was already enough to make me want to play more.
the vibe is really cool. It kind of reminds me. Well, this is the wrong part of Europe, but like Scandinavian horror, like weird Moomin stuff going on in there. Yeah, it was super interesting.
Mate,
It reminds me of this game
Moomins are
called
freaky as fuck.
Candle, which was all hand painted, and you just think, man, I don't know how people do it. I can't even colour in a colouring book. I can't even get in the lines.
Mate, it's my job, isn't it? Just do some colouring
Yeah,
for a little bit
true.
and just send it out to people. Like, you do it. I mean, I suppose it's very similar to what I do. Sat here drawing buildings, you know, day in, kind of day out. A lot of what I do is on the computer, but occasionally at the start of a project, I get to sit and actually draw and do lots of line work and pencil work and shading and all of those sorts of things to present some sort of, you know, early concept images of things. And it is painstaking. It takes time to put all of those things together, and you know, you've got to have the right kind of equipment that if you make a mistake, that it isn't kind of start again sort of stuff. And yes, Photoshop and lots of computer editing sort of tools can remove a certain amount of sins from your drawings and amend them and copy stuff over and be able to kind of replace lots of things. Or, you know, a lot of the times if I've done a big drawing, a big elevation of a building, and I've messed up on, say, one window, it's easy enough for me to just very quickly draw another window and Photoshop it in. Right. So you know, there's definitely sort of shortcuts, and I would imagine whatever engine has been used for Mundaun, they've picked based on, you know, ease of use, I would assume, to be able to replicate that sort of hand-drawn aesthetic kind of everywhere and do it as seamlessly and easy as possible. But yeah, as I said, I really want to know how. I want to know how this has been done. So I mean, come back to us, Aadil, when you've played some more, to let us know kind of you know, more about the story, whether you know, it keeps you going, or whether it is that aesthetic, whether you are just playing through because you want to see how, you know, the unfurling of the paper pulling you into a new scene, whether it is just that several times, or whether it employs other sort of artistic elements similar to that to transition you between places and things. So
I mean, I don't usually do this, but I was on the Steam page to read the blurb, right? And I saw the achievements, and I don't normally look at them because they're usually spoilery, but these are all the achievements look great because these badges are hand drawn in the same aesthetic, but like much cruder. And like, for example, one of them is just like a nice little rounded double line to make a frame, and it looks like basically like a snapshot of a medal #1, and it says "Win the sleigh race." So spoiler alert, there's a sleigh race. But now I'm like, I read that, I'm like, oh, I don't want to know anymore. That's just a really cool badge. But now I'm like, there's a sleigh race.
What?
Survival horror? Is this Santa Claus? No. But yeah, it's clearly well designed on that level too, which I really appreciate, because I don't care about Chivos, but boy, do people care about them. Mostly, it's like, this is part of the platform. I will put the same meticulous effort in to drawing these achievements.
Yeah,
Nice.
that's really nice.
Yeah.
Cool. Good.
What's a muzzle? A nouvelle. A vehicle? I don't know.
A nouvelle.
Ignore me. Nouvelle.
Oh, nouvelle. Oh, I don't know.
Maybe it's something in Romance.
Is this one of the languages you speak, Lucy?
The one that only 100,000 people
Are
speak.
you one of those 100,000 people, Lucy?
Yeah, why not? When I say I speak Romance languages, I actually just meant Romance.
Yes. Brilliant.
I'm one of the 2,000. I made this game, so thank you for your praises, Aadil.
Brilliant. Good. So, thank you, Aadil, for sharing. Was it Mundaun? Mundaun? Mundan? No one
Mundaun.
speaks Romance here. We don't know. We can never know. There's no way of knowing. Let's move on then. I do have a game as well this week to talk about, but I've only had a preview build of it. So I got sent a preview build of Death's Door, which is a Devolver published game from a developer called Acid Nerve, and it's kind of this isometric action game with a few kind of RPG elements, right? But if you think of an isometric action game and you think of Devolver, you're going to kind of almost sort of like fill in the blanks on some of the stuff with this. So there's a very light kind of comedy to it. It's very, very dark. There's lots and lots of kind of, not kind of blood and gore. Like it sort of suits and fits kind of with the setting, but it feels a little bit more kind of over the top for sort of what it needs to be. But you are a little crow, and your job is to reap souls. So you go around and you kind of have this quota, and the game very much starts you off to suggest you have this quota of souls that you have to kind of reap, and you're sent on a task to go and reap a soul. And when you get there, things go awry. The soul is stolen from you, and that kind of begins you on the story, which takes you through kind of like Death's Door. It's so easy to play. You know, if you've played like Transistor or kind of games like that, you will know it's kind of, or even like Hyperlight Drifter, right? that sort of stuff. You will know this kind of isometric action level that you're kind of going into. You've got an attack, you've got a heavy attack, you can dodge and roll out of the way. You have some ranged attack. It does. It feels very good as well. It feels like a lot of work has been put into the motion and how everything feels. You know, the weight to things, the time things take. So whilst I was playing it, I know that I would go in and I'd be like, right, I can do 3 very quick hits, which is the most you can do before the character takes a pause, and then try and roll away and move, or I can run in and do a big heavy attack and then dodge out the way again. And I've tried to test a little bit with this kind of whether a big attack is the same as 3 light attacks or takes more damage than 3 light attacks. Inconclusive. I can't tell you. You know, my testing is, or just my brain has not been able to process.
You don't know your DPS.
Well, your hit frame.
It's not an on-show numbers game. There's no numbers flying up out of all of these things, which in a way is great, because you come across some enemies and I'm like, right, that's 1 hit. I know little flying enemy bobbing about, 1 hit, bam.
Yeah,
I know the pattern that they go through and stuff, and then that enemy appears later on, and so you know that the play style of these kind of enemies, and it does that again very, very well. It takes you through and progresses through these enemies. There's a ton of different enemy types too. You move through kind of like the first area, which is a big graveyard sort of setting. You're reaping souls, of course. It's sort of this kind of area, but you come up against sort of like flying eye, singular eye bat kind of things. There's guys with little hats on with claws which swipe at you. There's guys which roll kind of in a line towards you and then will hit against the wall and fall on their back, so you can then sort of like hit against them. Like, the variety of enemies in this is excellent, but it all still fits very well with this quite limited set of combat and movement mechanics that you have, and this is why it just feels so good.
Yeah, it looks like it's got a clean aesthetic and just clean mechanics. Like, it doesn't seem like it says RPG on the Steam page, but it doesn't look like it's bombarding you with mechanics and, as you say, the hit points and everything like that flying off enemies. I love the look of it.
It is very clean. Absolutely.
I don't know if I'm just conditioned to think that every isometric game like this is a roguelike, because I thought it was like a roguelike, and I was like, but just watching the trailer and reading up about this looks like something I'd be very much into.
Definitely. It's not a roguelike. You die, you go back to the last checkpoint.
Bonfire.
Yeah, I was like...
So you don't have bonfires necessarily, but you have doors.
Okay.
And these doors take you back to like the central area, the central vault kind of area, where the other crow was behind his desk who gave you the job, where kind of this head crow is. And that is where you get the RPG mechanics coming. You can go to him and use the souls that you've reaped to upgrade stuff, and you can upgrade your strength, your dexterity, how quickly you can kind of fire your bow, or as I have just unlocked a fireball magic ability. So there's a little bit of kind of play within what you're doing in terms of like the RPG kind of side, but it still all fits with this very sort of simple isometric kind of play. And I think there are a couple of things kind of note which do stand out from lots of other sort of games like this. So it is isometric, but there's areas that you can kind of get to, and you walk down a ladder, you come up, and then actually when you walk across and behind the area, it will turn the camera, so you can then see that area, but it's only in a very small sort of section, along that walkway, and kind of just a hidden part which might give you some souls or take you into another chamber or something like that. But it's always really that kind of top down view, and it only shifts around in sort of certain parts, and I think that's just a really nice touch. We're like, I can go down there.
There better be a waterfall. There better be a waterfall and something like that. Otherwise, it's a terrible game.
At some point, I'm sure there will be. So
it reminds me of Below, the look. Like the Capybara game.
Yeah.
Capybara. Was it Capybara? Yeah, that could have been promising, but just didn't live up to expectation.
So it reminds me a lot of Moonlighter. And kind of the other very notable point is the music, and the music sounds a lot like the Moonlighter soundtrack, in that it's lots of very light kind of piano refrains, and it fits very well. So it kicks up when you're in kind of boss battles, and is very just nice and light and breezy when you're just exploring and walking kind of around the world, and it matches very, very well with what's going on, and you can tell the level of kind of care that they've put into this, because there's a section in the game when you go to fight kind of the first big boss. So it's suggested to you that there's 3 big souls that you need to reap. So when you go to the first one, you go underneath their mansion, and you're in like furnacey kind of boiler room style aesthetic kind of spaces, and you're moving around the map trying to once you've got your fireball ability, light some furnaces, which then move platforms which will allow you to get across the different kind of areas. And actually the map design is really good in that you run through this area like, why can't I get up to these spaces? And then you realise that you loop around and then double back, and then suddenly you're above that space, and you light a furnace, and you can then get across the walkway that you sort of came through. But these platforms will move up and down, so you've got a time walking across them very slightly, not anything hard, but the time of those matches the music. So the music's playing along in this, it's like pff, pff, pff. And the timing, the timing matches so, you know, it is on time with the music. And again, that just adds so much to the like level of production of this that I just, as I'm playing through, I'm like, oh, brilliant. Yeah, I know the timing of these things to walk across because it matches the music. If I'm paying attention, I know how I'm just going to very easily walk across this space. And it does, it feels so good. I mean, I haven't played a huge amount of these kind of isometric action games for a while. You know, we had like Titan Souls, Hyperlight Drifter, Transistor ages ago. Like, I haven't had anything kind of this small sort of, or at least it feels sort of like small scale. It's not, because the maps are quite large and stuff, and everything kind of interconnects very well. Also in interconnecting sort of pathways and opening doors and things, like, you know, that instantly kind of reminiscent of Dark Souls, the way that game kind of crafted its world. Well, even Demon Souls, the way that the game FromSoft crafted their world to be kind of interconnected and open up shortcuts and these sorts of things. Death's Door does that very, very well, and you feel even just opening a door on a screen that you've been on before, and then being like, yep, I can open that door and now just walk down that ladder, or open a gate, let's say, because doors are different in this game. So you open a gate, you can then walk back down into a space that you've been before, and that is rewarding. So it just all feels really, really good, and it's something that I kind of, having just a preview build of this, I'm sat there thinking, oh, this will end in a minute. I'm going to hit a point where I just get to like a stop point, but I'm not. I'm just going and I'm going and I'm going. I don't know whether the preview build is just an early version of the full game that I can just experience kind of all the way through.
Yeah. Yes, that's good.
So
it's like a Devolver classic.
Yeah, absolutely, completely.
Especially if it's like short, like, you know, like 8 hours, say. That would be great.
Well, so it's just so everyone knows, it is $16.79 on Steam, with a 15% discount at the moment to pre-purchase, or just to purchase before it releases. You're not pre-purchasing it, you are purchasing it. Comes out on the 20th of July. But I have played, if I jump into my library, 2.6 hours so far, and I've defeated the first of 3 bosses that you need to get to open a big door. I mean, there's probably something further on from that door, but I'm a little further on from the boss, so, you know, I probably did that in, say, like 2.3 hours. 0.3 hours. That point something hours is always very confusing.
You know what I love about gamers? I go to the Steam discussions. Someone asks, how long will it be? Pre-ordered it. Would be really disappointing if it's just 4 to 6 hours long. Then why did you pre-order it?
Perfect.
Because that's going to be the same person who puts a negative review and says, the game's too short, I wish I could refund it, but I've already played my 4 to 6 hours because he pre-ordered it.
I mean, you're not wrong.
I'm done. There's a window here. I don't think my house is tall enough, but Jesus, jump out.
I think you're probably right in about 8 hours, Lucy. I think that'll probably be roughly what it is. Maybe if you go around and start to open up kind of other areas and things. So again, when I got to a certain story point after the first area and through the graveyard section, this other character said you need to defeat these 3 bosses. This one's over here, this one's over here, this one's over here. I'm like, cool, great. So I went to the first one, did that. Got the fireball ability, and then came back to the graveyard and moved through, just being like, oh, where am I going? How do I get back to that point to know where I'm going to go to next? And I stumbled into this room, which had a load of cobwebs over its opening. And I'm like, oh, I've got the fireball ability. It allows me to burn down cobwebs. I've done that in the previous section. Cool. So I burnt this down, and now I'm just in a completely new area. I've got no idea whether it relates to either of those bosses, or whether this is just an extra session, an extra section that it's going to allow me to explore, and it's taking me through. And I fought like a mini boss in it already, and those sorts of things. So it may be an 8-hour game, but I think there's enough in there that you might even be at like 10 or something like that. So there's definitely more to this.
The way you described it sounds it's like very meticulously made and handcrafted, and I'd much rather that any day over some procedurally generated roguelike that I could play for 600 hours, because A, I'm not going to do that, and B, I just prefer the curated kind of experience. Like, people with that new Metroid game, they're saying like, oh, $60 for a Metroid game. I'm just thinking, you don't deserve Metroid. You've all been clamouring for it, and then it's like, oh, 60. When it's probably going to be like one of the most polished games.
Yeah.
It's like, they're like, oh, it's 2D. Yeah. It's 2D.
This game's 2D too. At the store.
It's not worth $60 if it's 2D. Surely not.
People got no clue, mate.
Even though it is like there's 3D assets in it. You just seen it from a 2D. Kind of,
I was gonna say it's like
it's 3D.
What, gamers not actually understanding the terms they throw around? Never.
They don't understand life.
But to be fair, I don't understand that one either.
But, true. But some people don't understand it even less.
That's fair.
We do. People ain't got a clue.
Yes.
Anyway, yeah, Death's Door looks really good. I saw it and I was just like, yeah, as I said, preconditioned to thinking everything's a roguelike now, but I know it is a scene. It just looks great. It sort of reminds me of like the last campfire-ish.
Yeah, absolutely. It has that feel to it too.
8-hour experience. So, yeah, looking forward to that one.
Yeah. I mean, a lot more combat. I don't think the last campfire had any combat in, did it? It was just puzzles.
I don't think so. Yeah, just puzzles.
Yeah. I actually played that this year.
Oh wow!
It was on sale on PlayStation. Beginning of the year, like January, February sort of time. And yeah.
Have you seen the flack that PlayStation have come under today?
Yes.
Oh, I haven't. What have they done this time?
I can't remember his name, but a UK developer has come out, and he didn't say PlayStation, right?
Platform X.
Yes.
Let's be.
Platform
he said Platform
X.
Console
which
doesn't have
X.
Game Pass.
Yes.
Is that what he said?
Yep.
So it's Nintendo.
Yeah.
That's what people assumed, and he was like,
"It could be."
Actually, no.
Basically, he's coming out saying that he doesn't think that it's fair in terms of visibility, that you've got to pay a lot of money to be visible on the platform to get sort of like storefront kind of. You know,
they've got
when stuff comes up saying new this week, that's a paid for position. To kind of
it's billboards. It makes sense in retrospect. I had never really thought about that. I mean, it makes sense not in the that's clearly the right thing to do. I mean, it makes sense that that's paid, given what I know about capitalism. But yeah, that's awful. Obviously, that says a lot to your indie developers, right?
Yes,
it says
completely.
We'll sell you a dev kit, Hopefully, you'll make money.
I mean, that's like it's all the platforms. It's not just a single Sony.
Yeah.
So it's all the platforms, but it seems like they're potentially the worst when it comes to that stuff.
I mean, it wouldn't surprise me. Yeah, the
Yeah.
amount of kind of stuff that we that we kind of hear about, the kind of inroads, and even the way that Xbox kind of treated indies at the start of its run, from the first kind of Xbox and that sort of stuff, and having an online kind of storefront and stuff. Xbox have always been very pro indie, and PlayStation presented themselves as being very pro indie. They had their pub fund, where like Axiom Verge wouldn't probably have happened if PlayStation hadn't have given Thomas Happ a bunch of money to be able to make his game, and other games have come through that. But from what this sounds like, it's like, unless you know people at PlayStation, unless you're kind of like a favoured sort of person.
I see that My Name is Mayor guy.
Yeah. But it's like, where does a small indie developer find 25k to be able to advertise their game everywhere, let alone on one platform?
Yeah,
it seems nuts.
I haven't been to the PlayStation Store in a while. Does it have like an indie section?
Not that I recall.
No, not that I can remember either.
Because you have like Idea Xbox and that like highlights things. That seems like a really cool program. I know, Sony has their kind of things, but yeah, I mean, it doesn't surprise you because like that Epic and Apple lawsuit, all the stuff that just fell out of that, and just thinking, with the crossplay kind of thing, and it's just like, these companies, man.
Companies be companies.
Yeah, it's just like they can have this outwardly facing, oh yeah, for the gamers and all that crap, but it's like every company, bottom line is profit. There's not really any
other line.
like deeds going on. Sometimes there are some, like with EA and their indie originals things. But it's rare. So it's like, and it just makes it even more absurd when people just like prepared to lie down on a train track for this particular company. It just makes no sense
completely. And it's really kind of interesting in a way, and I don't know, I know all of us follow and kind of regularly watch James Stephanie Sterling's videos, but they had a big thing recently with a developer called Gilson Pontis.
Oh yeah, Gilson Pontis.
And the kind of games that he makes, and how they have been published and released on PlayStation. And we also had, again, James Stephanie Sterling covered Life of Black Tiger and a few other kind of awful games that have kind of come on the PlayStation. And it almost seems like they've gone, we won't open the floodgates up like Nintendo have done, and all of the like shovelware that appears, and how Steam have done, and how like Greenlight doesn't exist anymore, but you can kind of just get whatever you fucking want on Steam these days. Sony have been like, right, we'll open the doors up a little bit to people, but everyone is level unless you give us 25k upwards, and you'll get your Activisions and other people who will give them more than that to be front and center advertised kind of slot. As soon as you go onto the PlayStation Store, it doesn't come up and say new in this week, blah 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 blah. It normally comes up with one game, here it is, and who knows how much they've kind of paid for that. And you won't get your Gilson Pontises and your Life of Black Tiger developers paying that kind of money, but they're still on the platform because PlayStation have kind of gone, yeah, we'll help, we'll give some space to these people, but we won't give them a foot up. We won't give them any kind of preference over anything else. We won't. It is like just Sony and PlayStation just currently feel like complete like free market capitalism. Yes, here is a space for you, but give us money to put you prominently on our spaces.
Yeah. It's weird. It's yeah, like all of those storefronts are just so bloated and hardly ever curated. But the Sony's like especially is really bad, and Nintendo's really bad. I don't even think we can mention Steam because God. But yeah, I don't know if it was just more people like flocking to PlayStation 4 in the last generation, because obviously they're the more, if you have one, if you're making Mundaun, you're one person, it's like I only have one platform to focus on, you would go for PlayStation if it's like I'm going to get more sales there, which doesn't seem to be the case from that Twitter thread that was going around today. Like a lot of it is with Nintendo and Sony, just for them. That's obviously not a catch-all, but maybe it is because PlayStation, they just opened the floodgates last generation, not too curated, and just like, yeah, welcome, or open their legs and just
open their legs, but don't tell anyone about it.
I paid to, they're a prostitute, yeah, they say pay 25 grand. But market.
I mean, I can't imagine anyone's paying a prostitute 25 grand, but
I mean, yeah, that's what Bobby Kotick's spending his money on, allegedly, according to James.
He's got to be spending his money on something, because I mean,
absolutely.
Yeah,
it's interesting. It's interesting to get a peek behind the curtain.
Yes, yeah, completely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Like those breakdowns from the Epic, like how much each developer was getting. It's like, man, it seems like some of them could have pushed more for their fair share of it.
Yes, very much. Yeah, completely. And I'd imagine
things like that should be on the table open for people.
It is interesting to see that little kind of table that came out saying, Epic paid X amount for this game and got Y amount of new users from it, and then paid X amount for this game and got Y amount for these users from, and those sorts of things stacking up, where it's great fodder for developers and publishers to be able to use in negotiations with Epic for later on. I'd imagine that's kind of like one of the worst things that could have been shared for Epic during that kind of trial, because it now gives weight to other people to push them around, which is not the hand they've normally been dealt. They're the ones going, we'll give you this amount, thanks for a little bit of exclusivity day one, and see how it kind of works out. And now someone to go, nah mate, I want twice that at least.
I want the 60 billion you paid for Borderlands 3. Says the guy who made Mundaun.
I mean, it just pays for Randy Pitchford to go around doing magic tricks, doesn't it, really? And watch porn all day. Anyway, should we open some more beers?
Yeah, let's do it.
Lucy, what are you going to drink next?
I'm going to drink a beer from... I might like this. Atom.
Ooh, Atom, nice.
Ooh.
You like Atom, don't you?
Atom, very good.
This is called Resonance. It's a Mosaic IPA. Love me some Mosaic. It's 6%. So anything else on the can? No.
Excellent. Well, that's quick.
A percentage
oats as well. 6%. It's got oats in it. Barley, oats, hops, and yeast. Yeah, that's it. From Atom in Hull.
Nice. Good.
Yeah.
Okay.
Nothing else. 440ml can.
Excellent. What's it?
Nice.
That's a nice can.
Yeah.
Is that like a deformed slinky?
That's what I was going to say. It's like a deformed slinky. Exactly those words.
Great minds and ours.
I instantly thought of Winamp.
Oh, does it whip the llama's ass? Really?
What are you drinking, Adam?
It's a can of references, Ben. Um,
Old, early 2000s references.
Yeah.
Good, yeah.
Like that
yeah. No,
live
it's
wire thing I showed
no,
earlier. I'd
yeah.
enjoy it.
It's from Dogma Brewing. It's a robust coffee porter. It's Docker's Hook. It's a 6%. It says Guatemala on it, and I believe that is where the coffee in the coffee porter is from.
Yeah,
And
usually.
it says nothing. Nothing really. Store in a dark, dry, cool place. Coffee hops, yeast, unpasteurized beer. Don't even know anything about the coffee except assuming the tin is not just in Guatemala for the hell of it. It's probably from Guatemala. Yeah. To drink fresh, don't trash, recycle.
Nice. Good.
So I will crack this, and you can tell us about your beer, Ben.
Yes. So I'm going to drink a beer from Brooklyn, New York, from Kings County Brewers Collective. It's called This Is Your Brain on Hops, double IPA, Citra and Nelson. And a slightly exploding head man can. With lots of excellent kind of artwork going around. Oh my god, the condensation is dripping down my arm. It is 8.5%, and it is 1 pint. American though, so like 500 ml. There's no flavour text on this. It does tell me though that it was canned on the 4th of the 6th, 2021. So it's like 3 weeks old.
Nice.
From America.
That got here quick, yeah.
Found, Lucy, in the news
In the
agents.
Yeah.
Say that again?
Found, you know.
In your
yeah.
You sure it just wasn't in your back garden at this point?
I mean, that's it. It just dropped. It just fell from the sky. I'm like, oh, cool. Yeah, right. Just found it on the street.
Oh. Yeah.
I shall pour this, and we will come back to you, Lucy.
Very frothy, bubbly, white head. Very hazy. It's basically opaque at this point. It's got a really nice orangey colour.
Yeah, absolutely. That's really, really sort of vibrant.
But you can see the light, like the sides of the glass. So it's like it's yellow on the outside and then just thick orange in the middle. It's really interesting. Like, doesn't smell of much at all, which I'd expect for like a mosaic bit. Especially. Yeah, doesn't smell of anything. It smells a bit soapy actually.
Oh no.
If anything, but yeah, you happen to probably get my nose in there to smell anything. But see how it tastes. That's nice. That is really easy. Like, I don't think there's like, I mean, it's too thick to even see, but I don't see any bubbles. It's like almost no carbonation. It's just really soft. That's good.
Nice.
I kind of want to like sup it a bit more, so get the other taste of the track out in my mouth because it seems quite delicate. Just like the aroma, it seems like the flavour. I mean, it looks like it's only just got mosaic in it, so just one single hop beer by the looks of it. Hold on. It says intense citrus and tropical fruit flavors backed up with pungent dankness. So pungency, I get the dankness. Maybe it has got a little bit of that like kind of weedy herbal kind of taste to it at the end.
But it's not pungent.
No, I wouldn't say so. It's much more soft and delicate than that, but I don't remember last time I had a single hop beer that was mosaic. It's been a while. I always look for mosaic because I think it's a really nice hop. But yeah, it's got that kind of like soft lavender kind of taste to it. So maybe that's what they mean by like the pungent dankness. But Yeah, this is a really nice beer. It's been so long since I've had just like a mosaic beer.
Yeah.
And I love them because they are, slightly delicate, but do have that like kind of, very quite fruity and tropical, like slightly herbally-ish kind of flavor to them. But yeah, this is really good. It's really easy. Like I was just gonna go. Like the first one I was sipping, I think it was just like I'm a bit full, it's a bit more carbonated. Just gonna take this, very slowly. This one, knock it back. It's
Nice.
really good.
Nice.
Really enjoying that one.
I mean, Atom are kind of known for their like imperial stouts, and that's kind of what I always I'm drawn towards. If I go in the bottle shop and I look in the stout fridge and I see Atom, I'm like, yep, I'll get one of those. I haven't had that before because I know it's going to be solid. So it's really nice to hear that they're hitting other styles, and maybe it's not quite as the flavor text sort of says, but it's still good.
Yeah. Yeah, I get where they're coming from with the pungent dankness, because maybe we're both meaning the same things, they just worded it in a different way, but yeah, it's a beautiful looking beer.
Yes.
And yeah, just a single hop with mosaic, you can make such good beers out of that.
Yeah.
Well, I think anyway. I love mosaic, so yeah, I'm really enjoying this.
Good. Nice.
Yeah, I can't remember the last time I had an Atom beer, so I'm on the Atom train with you, Ben. Toot, toot.
It's so small though. Aadil, we'll come to you for. Was it Dogma Brewery?
Yeah. Yes. So, it's actually a little more brown than you think. It's like leaning to like lighter than a cola. I don't know if the light can pick it up, but it's just got a little more like medium brown to it. Like it looks almost more like a coffee than usually you see these porters quite black almost. It's quite sweet. You're getting coffee notes right away, a little maltiness. Yeah, I would say like a fruity coffee, something like cherries and berries in there. So now I'm doing like a weird second degree note analysis. It doesn't smell like cherries and berries. It smells like a coffee that evokes cherries and berries.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mary Berry. He's just thinking of Mary Berry now.
I barely know who that is. I grew up on the other side of the world. I know so this tin of references is like, yes, that is a reference. I understand it is a reference. I do not really understand what it is outside of that. It's actually quite thin on the mouthfeel. Which is kind of nice. Yeah, I'm definitely getting a sweetness. It's only 6%. A sweetness. Quite a bit of acrid coffee taste. Which I think I said this for the last coffee beer I had, which is kind of disappointing when it's just like really generic coffee tasting. Like you're going out of your way to find this really fancy coffee, and then it just sort of tastes kind of like a burnt coffee in a diner. It isn't quite that bad. It just has that acridity there. It still has, like I said, these berryish notes. They're really helped by the sweetness of the beer. The malts are there, not layered or anything, but there's a bit of a maltiness sort of sitting off to the side. It doesn't feel like it's interacting with that coffee taste that much. Really easy to drink because of that thinness, but also because it finishes with that sort of acrid coffee taste and a hint of sweetness. It's just making me want to. Part of it is like, am I missing anything? Take another sip. Or the other part is just like, that finish is just. It's not like a luxurious coffee finish. It's like I said, it's just like more acrid. You burnt the coffee in the percolator. I guess we'll have it. But what's interesting is the other parts of the coffee notes are quite tasty. Like I said, I'm getting some like berries. I'm getting this young, fruity coffee off of it. It's just that coffee's kind of burnt, so you're getting flashes of this interesting set of flavors coming off of the coffee. But mostly it's just like, well, maybe I'll just take another sip, hide that taste for a bit. You know, so that's a little unfortunate. Maybe I'll get used to it. As is often the case, right? You get used to the more acrid, more bitter parts of a beer, and the rest can sort of blossom out. But I will let you know by the end.
Perfect. Nice. Good. I've already smelt this Kings County, and it's lovely. It's very light mango on that nose. It's closer to your second beer, Lucy. But not quite as vibrant. A little pared back.
Yeah.
You're getting a lot of light around the edges of the beer. It's not sort of like a solid colour. But yeah, a lot of mango on that nose. I'm getting a lot of mango in the flavour as well. Like a lot of mango. Tons and tons of it, actually. Like that feels like it's the kind of the main flavour of it, but it does lead into this not quite a piney finish, maybe not quite as piney as the Staggeringly Good kind of gave me, but it's definitely got this very light piney bitter finish to it, really really light, and just allows the mango almost to flow into that. It's not kind of like, here's that sweet mango, here's a bitter piney finish, we've mashed them together. It flows very nicely. The mango fades and moves into this kind of more bitter finish. And because the bitter finish is so light, you can get that flow between them. It almost feels like it's almost like ripening as you kind of drink. You know, that mango ripens as you drink it.
Interesting.
It is so light. There's no way I would say this was a double IPA either. Was it 8.5%, something like that? Not getting that from the beer at all. It's just mango moving into a little bit more of a riper kind of state, which flows very very well into that finish. Like incredibly easy. Like, ridiculously so, and it's very very soft as well. And Lucy, we know you having had a few beers from New York in the last kind of few months, really, and me having had a couple. Like, we always mention the very soft kind of mouthfeel, and this has it as well. Just very very soft, and just allows those flavours to kind of unfold as they want to, really. It's not like, bam, here's the mango, bam, here's that piney finish. It's just, hey, here's a beer, taste it. Oh, look, here's some mango. See what it does. Oh, no. Now it's a nice ripe mango, piney, bitter kind of it. It flows so well.
Yeah. Here you go.
Fucking New York. New York just know what's going on.
They do.
How have they done this?
I mean, there's a lot of people there. Also,
that's true,
I mean,
yes.
North America has been doing what we called microbrewing.
Yes.
Longer than craft here.
Yeah.
But I do think part of it is probably just like there's a lot of hipsters churning out them thoughts and tasting and trials.
Yeah. New York is very gentrified now. It's not quite like it was in the 80s, early 90s. Yeah. Everyone's drinking craft beer there.
That's true. Yeah. What's New York, like 11 million people? That's a lot of craft beer.
Don't know the population.
I've just guessed randomly.
I mean, you could pull a number out of your ass and I'd be like, yeah,
206
200 million. Yeah.
Wait, did you mean New York City or did you mean
New York City?
the state?
Not
The
state.
city,
Yeah,
not the state. The
State has
city.
got to be.
It's 18 million.
It's 18.
Wow.
Fucking hell.
18.8 too.
Wow. That's
Yeah.
nuts.
Tiny.
and at least 10 of them are making beers. So
That is a lot of people. Man.
I mean,
That little
as soon as
dot
you kind
there.
of, as soon as you see area New York, whether it's like Brooklyn, New York, whatever, you just know that there's going to be this extra little quality to it, don't you? And I don't think that's just New York. There's other areas as well. I can't remember where Adwar Theory come from, but they were some of the best beers I had last year. And they're like Virginia or somewhere like that, that kind of East Coast sort of side to the US. There's just something about beers, and even the West Coast breweries. I mean, just the United States are just knocking it out absolutely at the moment. I suppose I say at the moment.
Them Americans, yeah.
That's it. That's all we want.
Beer.
Don't send anything
That's
else
the
over to us.
only
Just send your
export we
beer.
need. We don't, we didn't bugger ourselves with Brexit, and we need you. Nothing like that.
That's it.
Just need your beer.
Brexit will all be worth it. Just get a deal with the United States, just to bring over tax-free beer. That's fine.
Yeah, I mean, it'll all be worth it. Then.
Exactly. If I can buy United States brewed beer for £3 a can, done. I'm happy. Who cares what else happens?
Can't complain, right?
Yeah, exactly. Doesn't matter. Fuck everything else. Good. Let's drink these beers and let's finish with you this week, Lucy. What do you want to chat about?
I'll chat about a game I started it. Well, they played the demo when all that Steam Next Fest or whatever it's called was going on. It was the game that was very up my alley, which I always forget the name of, so I think I had it googled. Something Pierre. Labyrinth City. Pierre. So Labyrinth City, Pierre the Maze Detective.
Wow.
Which is actually based on a series of children's books. It looks like Where's Wally? Which is the easiest way to describe it. Instead of very elaborately hand-drawn pages, but instead of just finding things, they're actually mazes. You have to way out of. I had no idea about this series until I saw the game. I think it might have been on a Nintendo Indie Direct or something like that, and I was like, well, this looks cool. This looks like Hidden Folks, but with mazes, with colour. I was like, yeah, I want this game. And then it just came out all of a sudden on 22nd of June. It came out. And I was like, I'll buy that. I played the demo and I was like, this is very charming in the fact that it's so highly detailed. It's so colourful. It looks like a children's book come to life with the little bits of animation and everything like that. But I saw maybe this could get old real quick. In terms of you are pretty much on rails. You are just going through this maze. Each level is a maze, and it is okay. There are different paths you can take. So there's a critical path that you get because you're chasing after this guy called Mr. X, and it's you have to get to the end of the maze to get to him, and you just move on to the next level, to the next maze. But there are little things you can go straight off the beaten path just slightly, but it's very easy to see. It's very obvious. I think it'd be great for a kid of Evelyn's age or something like that. Just very to pick up and play. I'm playing it, but you could easily play it with WASD because it's there's only so many directions you can go.
Yeah.
It's you don't need the mouse or anything like that. So other than to obviously click and interact with things, but yeah, it's just like a painting come to life, and it's just I've played the first two levels. The first level set in a museum. The second level set in a town plaza where there's a parade. But yeah, it's just really colourful, really charming. Upbeat music. It's just I feel like I'll probably play 1 or 2 levels a day, so it just doesn't get to like, okay, I'm just going through this maze, finding all the collectibles, and being done with it. It's just very enjoyable. I think it's something that, okay, the gameplay's not really, expansive, or it's very simple, and it's like it seems like the same number of collectibles per level and stuff like that. And there's like maybe one puzzle per level, but I just think it's like the charm will not wear off. The gameplay might, but I think the charm will just take me through the rest of that game. It seems like something experience piecemeal, like, one level a day. It'd be like, okay, kid that I don't have, you get 20 minutes to play a video game before I'm sick of you and you go to bed each night. Go play that. Super early on. I don't know how many levels there are, probably about. I was looking at the achievements, like Aadil, just to gauge how long it is. There might be like 10, 12 levels or something like that. But yeah, I'm enjoying it. The pure charm of it has just made me buy it, and I'm enjoying it for that.
Nice.
So,
what's it taking you kind of per level? Is it like a 10-minute sort of experience, or longer than that? Shorter than that?
Probably. I think this is a good game to look at the achievements, because it's like it makes you want to go off the beaten path to find, like, interact with this thing, or find this person. Just as that kind of like Where's Wally experience, like I need to find this, and it's just like you get that quick dopamine hit of like, yeah, I did this, got the little achievement popping up. So, but you could just go main path, and I don't know how expansive the levels get because I'm only on the second one, but you honestly, like, I missed out on a collectible on the second map, so I was like, okay, I'll start it again, and it took me between 5 and 10 minutes, probably less, to get to the end. So yeah, they're not long if you're just going from A to B. It's more you're there to soak up the charm and look at all these different little sprites. Like I saw a monkey dancing with 2 beer bottles in his hand. I was like, well, he's cool. Just like, yeah, just absurd, like, kind of playful things going on in each level. So yeah, I'm enjoying it. It's something that I'm not in the mood to play games where it's perfect, because it's like low impact, very relaxing, very fun, very charming. So yeah,
Nice.
that's Labyrinth City.
You mentioned that it's kind of one of those games that you play 1 or 2 kind of levels, of an evening or per day kind of thing. What do you think is kind of stopping you from just bashing through the whole thing?
I think it is because of the gameplay. It's just very simple. It's like it's maybe it's like sort of like Hidden Folks. I'm taking it in that approach, because I didn't want to just blast all the way through Hidden Folks either, because I was like, this is so charming. I just want to soak in each level. If I was just like, okay, so I'm gonna go find these things, move on to the next one, find these things, move on to the next level. It loses kind of its what I'm there for that experience for. Like, so yeah, I think that's what it is. Just want to soak it all in, soak all that charming drawings and art style in. And speaking of games that are probably want to play in like native language, I believe it's like French books. I mean, the guy's called Pierre, so I'm assuming that it's I'm pretty sure it's like books made in France.
Okay.
Probably want to play it in like French dialogue, because there is like some very loose storytelling, like cutscenes between each maze. That gives it a bit more charm, a bit more whimsy. But I probably want the voice acts in French, so I might do that. So
Nice.
I might just turn everything in French. It just take a look at the screenshot, and I want the books. It's like just like I want the books. But I love my Where's Wally. Yeah, and I'm not too old to get a children's book at mazes.
That's fine.
I should be. But...
Nah, it helps your brain. It's a good workout for you to be able to
I
kind
guess
of,
so.
be able to search these things out and stuff. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, absolutely, nice. We have been playing. So, I bought. We bought Evelyn. Oh, actually, the box is here. The kids' hoary PS4 control pad.
I didn't know that was a thing.
Yeah, she. We occasionally will pick her stuff up if she's been consistently good in school and that kind of thing, and she had been, and this is what she asked for. She said, "I want a control pad to be able to play on the PlayStation." I'm like, "Cool, okay, I know exactly the sort of thing we can look at." So we picked this up for her, and she's tried a few games out. Sonic Mania being one, which she's the idea of holding down to move in one direction wasn't quite kind of clicking with her. Whereas we went back to Hidden Through Time, and she very much picked that, instantly was able to pick that up, and because it's on a much tighter control pad for her, she was moving around the kind of puzzle much easier than she was on the bigger DS4, and she's really enjoying it again. Even though we've played the levels, she started again essentially, and it's just such an easy kind of game to play. Like, you just scroll through the level, find kind of the thing that it is pointing you towards with a slight clue. And it's perfect for her age, because the clues are not that difficult. So she will stand there, and because she's reading a lot of stuff now, she will try and read the clue, and she might get to a word that she doesn't understand, and I'll have to tell her what it is. And so she's kind of sat there going, right, I've read the clue, or the clue's been kind of read towards me, and now I've got to work out what that is. And you can kind of see it ticking over in her brain what that clue means, what it might be. Whether it's a clue on one of the early dinosaurs level, which says, "I am smaller than all of the other dinosaurs," and it then shows a tiny picture of what she's looking for, which is the dinosaur. And she's like, "Well, I'm looking for this dinosaur, but it must be in with big dinosaurs." So she just scans around the map and goes, "Oh, here's all the big dinosaurs. Oh, here is the smaller dinosaurs with the big dinosaurs." Brilliant. And very easy to maneuver around the map with the gamepad. And I there is definitely something both excellent for her, for figuring. And you said, Lucy, the Labyrinth City would be good for someone maybe of Evelyn's kind of age, for that younger demographic. But I think there's still something to gain from it for older players, and very kind of derogatorily sort of said, baby games, blah blah blah. But I think there's still something to kind of gain from that. It's definitely kind of training your brain in a certain way to be able to understand clues and pick out details and shift through information as well. It's kind of like, you're looking for this, here are lots of things that sort of look like this but aren't quite this, and you go, is it that one? No. 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 And it's fantastic watching Evelyn play, like watching her brain work almost, and her shifting through this information to be like, it's this. No, it's not that one. No. Okay, let's have another look kind of through. So I think there's such a fantastic place for lots of these little kind of hidden objects, or like Where's Wally style kind of games to exist. So I'll definitely have a look for Labyrinth City as kind of a purchase. And did you play it on PC?
Yeah, I bought it on PC. I believe it's coming to Switch and maybe other things later, but just picked it up because I was like, this is perfect for like a big screen. I was like, it seems a bit wasted on the Switch.
Yeah.
Although you can play that on the TV, I guess, which I always forget. but why would you? But yeah, it is fascinating, like just how in tune we are with like games and mechanics because we've been playing them so long. Like it's like I've been playing like a Metroidvania and I know where the wall chicken is, and people are like, "How do you know that's where the wall chicken is? You've never played this game before," and it's like, because that's where the wall chicken is. What else would be in this nondescript wall just here? Of course, that's where the the wall chicken is. Yeah, it's crazy. So yeah, that is Mr. Pierre in Labyrinth City. The other game that I would like to talk about, the one that the only game that I finished like this month or something, is the Procession to Calvery, which a few years ago, it must be years at this point, I played a game, and you lot might remember this. It was called Four Last Things, and basically the developer, Joe Richardson,
I do remember
he
this,
uses Renaissance art and music because it's public domain. Like if you're not an artist or or a musician, it's like you usually have to, unless you're very talented and multi-talented, which a lot of developers are, you have to contract out for that. You have to, pay people to do art, do music and stuff like that. If you're just a programmer, it's like, I code, I may not know how to draw things or
Yes.
make a crotchet and a quaver. So he uses Renaissance art and music, and he sort of stitches all these different like collages and paintings and makes a point-and-click adventure game. This is like a I'd say it's a direct sequel to like Four Last Things. You're playing as a different character and you've got different pieces of art in it, but it's the same very Monty Python-esque, very crude slapstick kind of humor to it. And I just love how a lot of the humor comes from just looking at these pieces of art and thinking, what the hell is going on here? Who drew this? Were you guys okay 400 years ago? I think that's how people will see. No, I think that's how people are going to view anime in 400 years. They're going to be like, were you guys okay? And the answer is, again, no, we weren't. But yeah, it's just like the commentary on like, okay, there's two guys naked and wrestling, and yes, there's obviously like cultural things that make this sense, but it's like it's just saying two weirdos wrestling naked, like the captions and and like it just comments on how bizarre and ridiculous the art is. Obviously it had cultural meanings back then, and it may not have been as weird to look at back then, but yeah, it's just like, what is this? It's like someone walking through a museum, through the Louvre, and like, hands behind their back and say, "Oh, this is a Monet, and this is what this reflects," and someone just saying that's just paint, mate. That's basically what this game is.
Amazing.
So, yeah. But yeah, it's I played it on Xbox. It's been on PC for a while, and I saw that it was coming to. Yeah, and I've always been like, oh, I need to get it. And I saw that it was coming to Switch and Xbox. I think those are the only consoles that it's coming to.
Because you can't fucking advertise your indie game on PlayStation, so why would you fucking
Yeah, I mean, it's even like fourth wall breaking where, developers saying like, try to pick up a publisher. It's like, this is very, esoteric, very, very niche. It's like, and stuff like that. So it's like, yeah, after what we've heard today from Sony, maybe that comes into part of it. But yeah, it plays fine on Xbox because it's not a very like pixel hunty precise game. It's like there is inventory management, like, but it's not overwhelming. Sometimes you do, combine items and stuff like that. But it's very simple, and the art is in such a way. I think he's like, made things that are interactable a bit more pronounced in the foreground and stuff like that. So it's easy to work with on if you're not on PC, but with any point and click, PC is probably the way to go. But yeah, you're basically playing as this maiden, this fair maiden who's like a knight, and there was like the Holy War, and she was just killing people, and she was enjoying it. And then it's like the Holy War's over, and she's like, I can't do any more murders. It's like, no, you can't do any more murders except for this guy. So it's basically a adventure to get to this guy just so you can commit a murder. And
that's pretty great.
And up to that point, you can pretty much murder anybody you want, but by doing that, it locks off like a lot of the game for you.
Oh.
It's like once you get to this town where this what's his name, St. Peter or something like that lives. It's like if you've killed people, it's like the townspeople there are not going to help you out. It's like, and then you're just basically going on this murder run until the end of the game. You're like, you're standing in my way, I'm going to kill you. Okay, this guy is not this boatman is not going to take me over here. I'll just kill you, take your boat.
Again, you opened up saying it sounds very Monty Python, and it does amazingly sound very Monty Python. It's
Yes,
kind of like,
absolutely.
you must answer me these questions 3.
Yeah.
And just knock their head off and progress through anyway,
Yes.
not even worry about it. Yeah.
Literally, just eviscerating people or slashing people in half, beheading people. I can see why someone would take the suicide, not suicide, like just murderous route.
The murder route.
Yeah, because I think there's like achievements. It's like if you
Like a pacifism route kind of thing.
Yeah, pacifism, just like bloody barren route, and it's just like, yeah, but I played the first way through without killing anybody, and you obviously see more of the game, and it's there's more puzzles. It's sort of like what was it, Curse of the Monkey Island, where you can basically now play the easy version, where it's like less puzzles, or you can play the the how it's meant to be with more puzzles. It's a bit harder. This is what that feels like. It's like you can just kill your way all the way through this game, or you can, solve the puzzles. And even though everything is like Renaissance art and some of it gets a bit weird, all the puzzles are like grounded enough where it's like, I didn't struggle. I think I needed one hint for something, and that was it. So yeah, really enjoyable games.
It looks fucking fantastic.
Yeah.
I mean, just there's in the Steam screenshots.
Mm-hmm.
There's one which is just this character in his awful armor, just stood there, and he's obviously hovering over something. One of the paintings in the room that he's in, and just says a painting of 3 naughty boys.
Yeah,
gives you nothing at all, but is excellent at the same time.
The annotations on all the paintings are just hilarious, and I think it's got one of the best Kickstarter backing like kind of rewards things.
Oh,
where obviously the people who probably supported at a higher tier. Mm-hmm. There's like this in both Four Last Things in this game. There's like a gallery in it where you can see all the art pieces of art that he actually used for the game. You can see them all, and actually read like, okay, this is who is it drawn by, like the year circa who drew it and stuff like that.
Nice. That's
so
cool.
There's like a gallery in the back where it's like you have to persuade this guy. It's like, look, I just want to see this. He's like, you don't want to see this. It's just Kickstarter back. He's like, you don't want to see this. Like, yes, I do. He's like, no, I don't see it. And when you get back there, he's given like these all annotations to like 10 or so Kickstarter backers. It's just like this poncy twat and stuff like that.
Nice.
And they're all like got like Renaissance looks to them as well. But
that's amazing.
And then and when you come out of that room, he's like, "This was just a Kickstarter backing room. You didn't need to see a couple of very rich white guys who waste their money. It's like you didn't need to see that."
That's really good.
Yeah, it's really tongue in cheek. Really self-referential, deprecating human. It may not be everybody's cup of tea, that kind of humour, but I just find it hilarious. Because yeah, I look at some of those pieces of art, I'm just like, what? Yes, it's beautiful and very this and that, but I did not study art history as a degree, so I can just honestly say like, what the f? People drawing that.
I mean, it's only £6.39 as well on Steam at the moment. It's 20% off until July the 8th.
Mm-hmm.
And all you need to do is just watch the trailer for this, and you'll instantly buy it.
To be honest, the bundle, which is all 3 games from them, is currently the same price as buying this full price. It's only £8.
Yes. Yeah.
So you get 4 Last Things, which Lucy talked about on a previous episode, and if I was smart, I would have searched for this before.
It was a good year or 2 ago, probably 2 years ago at this point.
It was definitely pre-pandemic in the before times.
But yeah, they're good. They're good games. It's just so unique and so clever. To be like, I can't draw. I can't do music. Let me just use stuff from the public domain.
Completely. Like I'll just collage these paintings that exist essentially. Yeah.
Yeah, and none of it is jarring. It all super works. It's like when you're going from scene to scene. It's like it's not like I have like some cubist thing here and then this Renaissance painting here. It's like it all super meshes well together, and it's really good. I think it would just be even better if you studied this period of art as well, and it's like, oh, that's this and this, and this guy's just saying these strange men naked.
Full naked strange men.
Yeah.
Yes. The end of the trailer for 4 Last Things, after going through lots of stuff, just says Renaissance artwork, pointing and clicking, highbrow buffoonery.
It's real slapstick lowbrow.
Perfect. Yeah. It's in my Steam cart right now, ready to purchase when we finished.
So it was, for those who want to hear more about 4 Last Things, it was actually in 2020. It was episode 227, a Ben-free episode with guest Dr. Pepper drinker extraordinary Adam Thomas.
Oh, he's cropping up more often now, isn't he?
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah. I think you'll enjoy it, Ben.
Yeah.
I mean, I was like this close to buying. I think I just didn't have a reason. I had other things going on, but I was like, oh, I'm definitely gonna get into that. And so now that the bundle, like, I'm tempted to just spend the £8 and buy all 3 games.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. That's exactly what I'm
gonna do. I
haven't
played the original one yet. Is it Preposterous?
The preposterous awesomeness of everything.
Yes, I own that one. I just haven't played it yet. I need to get around to it. It's just like, I need more of these in my life. It's absolutely hilarious.
Nice, and that was by Joe Richardson.
Joe Richardson.
Yeah,
Richardson. Although the publisher is Joe Richardson and Superhot Company.
And Superhot. Yes, for the new one, it's Superhot as well. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, new. I mean, it's a year old.
Yeah.
It's published by Digerati on consoles, so.
Okay.
The code, because I really enjoyed it.
Perfect.
I want more of that.
Good.
Game. I will absolutely be a Kickstarter backer if he decides to make another one of these.
For the next, nice, nice. Well, mate, it's when he moves then into cubism, and it's just all fucking fucked.
Yeah.
Completely weird. Like, you think Renaissance art is weird, just wait until he takes it 200 years into the future and just 400 years into the future. Good. That's probably all the games we are going to discuss this week. Thank you, everybody, for coming and joining us and hanging out with us this evening. Let's go back and revisit the beers that we have drunk. Lucy, did either of the beers stand out to you? Do you have a favourite this week?
I do, and sadly, it's not the None But the Rain.
Oh.
This was a really nice beer. The Track. Yeah, there wasn't a lot to say about it, to be honest. If I went out in the before times and this was on tap, I'd happily get several of those. It's like they're very nice beers, you know, easy to drink, a bit piney, a bit bitter, you know, tropical fruits. Your typical like IPA. I think my favorite this week has to go to like the Resonance because I don't usually see many single hop beers nowadays. And I love Mosaic hops. It's I mean, just 10 out of 10 for looks for a start. It was a really good looking beer. For anyone who saw that on the video, but yeah, it's just has a nice sweetness, nice bit of maltiness, like even like slight bit of biscuitiness from like that the malts, and you know, tiny bit of bitterness, but so much like fruit in it as well. And yeah, it had that dankness as they were saying on the can, and it just showcased what Mosaic hops can do and how much I like them. It's like it's one of my favorite hops out there. So many now, but you always see them like with the Track beer, like all of them together. I rarely see like single hop beers anymore.
Yes.
So yeah, this was nice. As Aadil said, sometimes you want to get back to that old school IPA, like the bitterness and stuff like that. I want to see like just more Mosaic beers and just like, you know, really going into that hop and just showcasing it, and think this is one of the best showcases of the hop that I've had last couple of years probably.
Amazing.
And yeah,
Fair
it's really soft, really easy. Really enjoyed this one. So
Nice.
yeah, I'll be looking for more Atom. I think I've got another one downstairs, but
Yeah.
Impressed.
Perfect. Aadil, do you have a preference this week?
I do. It's got to be the Funky Fluids Daily Hazy APA. No, not only did the sort of, I never really got used to that acidity on the Dogma. I felt like the coffee was kind of just. Not only was it not like a really interesting coffee taste as a also coffee snob, but also it didn't feel like it was doing anything exceptionally well with the portery tastes. Like there was rather, I saw that this probably was a better quality coffee. I got some fruity notes you don't get from just like generic ground up swill you get in the instant. It's not like that. I'm just saying like it just wasn't paired well, and again it felt a little too acrid, lingered too long in that acidity. It felt like the coffee was just not processed right or whatever. And then, so I had like it starts with these interesting notes that seem to be maybe coming from the coffee, but it sort of just lingered on that acidity, and like the more portery malty notes I would expect kind of weren't there at the end either. So all I had to really haven't like the only taste I really had was like this disappointing part of the coffee taste. Like the porter part was also reserved, and it's kind of like it's a shame because it was making way for a taste that was disappointing. While the Daily Hazy APA is kind of what I want from an APA, right? It's like just it was really tropical sweet fruit, some citrus, and also a little bit of like sweet stone fruit coming forward, and then it just had this lovely lingering bitterness that was again kind of what I've been missing from a lot of star PAs, like whatever you want to go, like any sort of those pale ales that aren't just a pale ale that there's just been a trend of the past little while of them just pulling the bitterness back, which is fine to an extent, but this had it, and it wasn't. It was really reserved. It was there. It was just there through the finish, which is what you want from an APA. But it definitely felt like an APA from like 3 years ago, where it's like, yes, this is an APA because it's not punching me in the face, but it's still a little bitter. And I guess it was a hot day, and I just kind of miss the unobtrusive sort of, yes, this is a bit of a nuanced bitterness that's lingering. I feel like I've had a refreshing beer. It started sort of very fruity and strong, and it's given me this lovely beer aftertaste that isn't drying my mouth out or isn't so strong that I'm like, it's just, like I said, like what I want from an APA, which is just, it's there. It's not blow your face off. It's just like a nice lingering bitterness. It's not like if this was an IPA, it'd be like it's kind of weak, but actually this is perfect. This is actually what I was looking for today. Great, good beer.
Yeah, amazing. I love that. Eastern European. I mean, Poland's not really even Eastern
Central European.
It's Central European. A Polish brewery can just nail an APA as well. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Good for me. I liked both beers. I enjoyed both of them. I think it's going to go to the KCBC, the Kings County Brewers Collective. Yeah, I mean, both beers were good. I would have both beers again. The Brain on Hops was just like kind of so soft and worked through that flavour so well. Like it flowed so excellently through that beer that it's just kind of like how is this beer made? How do they get these flavours to work in the way that they do? How do they make this such soft flavour and soft kind of mouthfeel while still being completely full of flavour, full-bodied, and just nail that flow between what they're trying to show? I just don't get it. How do they do it?
They sacrifice a baby lamb.
I mean, they probably do. Have you seen the front of the tin? A man's head is melted away. They're obviously all into their satanic rituals, of course. And we support that here. Do whatever you need. Make good beer. Doesn't matter what it takes. Don't sacrifice sentient beings. Let's end it there this week. You can get us in lots of different places. We are Tanked Up Cast almost everywhere. I'm at Nova_47 if you'd like to chat to me. Lucy is
Juicy Loose 9.
And Aadil is
At the Omniarch.
If you'd like to chat to either of them over on the socials or connect and play some games, perhaps chat to them on the socials first rather than just be like, hey, play this game with me, because that would be weird. You can get all of us Out of Lives Net as well on Twitter, or go to outoflives.net to see our faces if you're listening to us, to listen to other podcasts that we do and read other articles and pieces that go up. Aadil, you do a live comedy show, This Next Act, which has been started up again since we're allowed to go out and do stuff now, and that's going
Still
up.
feels a bit weird.
That's going up kind of weekly at the moment, but also, as I understand it, we might be hearing you on it as well at some point.
Yeah, not only am I the announcer and producer, the 11th of July, is that a Sunday?
Maybe.
It is. Yeah, I'm doing 5 minutes, which means I need to write more than 5 minutes so I can call the bad jokes. Yeah, that's a thing that's on my to-do list that's rapidly coming close.
Good.
Yeah.
Nice.
I'm looking forward to that. That is...
Aadil and I also do Geek Out Weekly, and you can go to outoflives.net, or you can go to our YouTube page, Out of Lives, to listen to previous episodes that we have done. You can see our lovely faces and the beers that we have drank on our YouTube channel as well. Or, as some of you have done, and we thank you very much for it, you can come to twitch.tv/outoflivesnetwork to watch us live, mostly on a Tuesday, occasionally on a Wednesday, sometimes on a Thursday. The day doesn't really matter. We'll let you know roughly when we're going.
If you just hit that follow button on Twitch, it'll let you know when we've gone live.
Yeah.
I'm pointing in like all directions because I don't.
I mean,
know
actually,
where
to
the
be
follow
fair, I
button
think
is.
given that I'm in the bottom of the frame, it should. Oh wait, it's a reflection. It's there.
Notifications.
Yeah,
Right.
right.
Somewhere.
It should be about there.
Do that. Do it on every platform of choice that you're listening or watching to us on the YouTubes, or if you are so kind and you have a couple of minutes, go on your podcast service of choice, give us a rating, give us a review. It helps us spread the word, it brings more people into the community, it lets us chat a little bit more. If you want to chat to us more so than just the occasional social thing, come to our Discord as well, which is an Out of Lives Discord. And you can chat to everybody at Out of Lives then about the work that they're producing, the things that they've been playing, and everything they've been doing. Adil's very kindly just put that up into the Twitch chat as well. So if you're listening to us, go to the Twitch chat, or I think it's probably pinned on Twitter too. So do those things. They're the ways that you can talk to us. They're the ways you can come and have a chat with us about the games that you're playing or the beers that you are drinking. That's it. That's what we've drank this week. They're the games that we have played. That's the ways that you can talk to us. For this week, we've been Tanked Up. Thank you for joining us. Goodbye.
No words of wisdom this week. Goodbye.
Ciao.
Oh, you are the weakest link. Did you know that?
Wow.
Oh.
Wait, who are you talking to? Are you talking to me, Ben, or the listener?
None of us are the weakest link. Goodbye. I'll talk about Countdown on there.
www.outoflives.net